Members of the National Assembly are debating the State of the Nation address. They were on a 30-minute recess. We'll take you there as soon as those proceedings begin. But for now, let's continue to this. And those are live visuals that we're showing you there. We'll take you there as soon as those debates commence. All right, to this now. The South African National Taxi Council in the Western Cape has called on police to speed up their investigation into an alleged arson attack in which 20 taxis were set alight at the Nyanga taxi rank on the weekend. At least 16 minibus taxis and 4 23-seater vehicles sustained damage estimated at about 12 million rand. No arrests have been made so far and no injuries were reported. The fire incident followed a shootout between rival security companies affiliated to the Cape Amalgamated Taxi Association last month, in which one person was killed and 7 others seriously injured. Now, 19 people, including security personnel, were arrested after the shooting. Here's SABC News reporter Mlamli Manele. In fact, we'll bring you that report a little bit later on. I think the proceedings have started in Parliament. Let's listen in.
President Trump's first term in office, The Economist magazine posed a fundamental question in April 2017 as to whether China was challenging the US for global leadership. They put it as follows, I quote, "The two countries are looking in opposite directions. America away from shouldering global responsibilities, China towards it. And they are reappraising their positions in different ways. Here, like the China administration, the Trump administration is dashing from one policy to the next, sometimes contradicting itself and willing to box any rival it sees, whether perceived or real, I might add. China, tortoise-like, is extending its head cautiously beyond its carapace, taking slow and painstaking steps towards global leadership," end quote. This statement, as you know, President, is as true today as it was when made 7 years ago. Honorable President, President Trump's recent executive actions, predicated as they are on misinformation and unfounded rumors, require us to assess our position in the world, to deepen political and trade relationships with countries who endeavor to shoulder more global responsibilities. To this end, we should reorient our trade priorities towards BRICS countries, who constitute approximately 50% of the global population, and the African Continental Free Trade Area. We should also use the upcoming G20 summit to advance Africa's interests in global trade and the development of an equitable global order. Appraisals of our involvement in the DRC and other continental obligations. While talking about the DRC, I must hasten to add that I found the warmongering that took place in the debate here yesterday deeply repulsive. It is despite pressure from the US to extend our heads cautiously beyond our carapace, taking slow and considered steps in support of the struggle of the people of Palestine in their effort to disentangle themselves from a comprehensive web of oppressive entanglements. Honorable President, as you indicated in your speech, the empowerment of women, youth, and people with disabilities is of paramount importance. It is therefore unpardonable that 30 years into our democracy, coming from one of these groups, vulnerable groups, serves as a fixed impediment to individual success. In fact, for many of these vulnerable groups, rising above one station is an enterprise for only those most courageous and ambitious. The commendable opening of new ports in other provinces, together with the focus of the Secretariat of the Continental Free Trade Area Agreement on guided trade initiatives for businesses of women, youth, and people with disabilities, should help us to create access to markets for businesses of the marginalized groups. In addition, the proposed change in the funding model for municipalities presents an opportunity for rural municipalities which currently have no revenue-raising capacity to use increased budget allocation to resuscitate their failing economies and to support businesses of marginalized groups. However, President, strict measures should be taken to ensure that the restructuring of the funding model for municipalities does not end up in an exercise where we rob Peter to pay Paul. President, while we accept the importance of social grants...
Honourable Kwankwa, your time has expired.
Dear Bulel, I thank you.
I now invite the Honourable Boshoff.
Honourable Deputy Speaker, Honourable Chairperson of the NCOP, Mr. President, members of the House. We meet today in the wake of the President's State of the Nation address, an occasion intended to offer direction and hope. Yet how can we speak of hope when the President again proposes a questionable policy that undermines economic growth, discourages investment, and exacerbates already high levels of unemployment? Minister Tar's unilateral announcement of the 100 billion transformational fund is not just a bad policy, it is significant concern for democratic processes, an attack on our economy, and a direct threat to fairness, accountability, and the rule of law. This fund was never approved by Cabinet. It was never debated within the GNU. It was never subjected to the due processes that govern major financial policy decisions. Instead, it was unilaterally declared as though the ANC still governs alone. Let me make it abundantly clear, they do not. This government is a GNU and not an ANC dictatorship. The days of steamrolling over South Africa's economy and institutions for the benefit of a few elected elite are over. Years of poor economic policies, crippling corruption, and rampant crime has resulted in a stagnating economy and gradually, over the last 3 decades, took the voters away 20% of their support. And despite this, the ANC went ahead and pushed through NHI, Bella Bill, and the EWC under guise of caring. But in effect, all 3 acts do nothing for the economic growth or creating jobs, and each of them limits individual freedom. Speaking to you, sir, read the headlines, ANC. Your policies are not working, and that's why the voters are rejecting you. The ANC did not give us the GNU. The voters did. They rejected ANC policy. They rejected race-based legislation. I must, however, stress the need for transformation is not up for a debate. It is a necessity. This means the means by which we achieve it.
Honourable Member, please take your seat. I recognise the Chief Whip of the DA.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. My apologies for doing that to our member, but the member is being drowned out from here where we sit. Can you please ask that the members afford the necessary respect to her? Thank you.
Honourable Members, we have made the request earlier this afternoon as well. Please keep down the comments and the heckling so that everyone, even at the back, can hear the Speaker. Honourable Boshoff, please proceed.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. However, the means by which we achieve it must be legally sound, economically viable, and transparent. This fund, in its current form, fails on all 3 counts. We have seen this exact playbook before, at Eskom, at Prasa, in PPE scandals, and the billions looted during the state.
Honourable Boshoff, please take your seats. Honourable Dugmore. Please try another microphone.
Deputy Speaker, I'd like to ask if the honourable member is prepared to take a question and explain, is she in Zilla's caucus or in John Steenhuisen's caucus? Will she take that question?
Honourable Boshoff, are you prepared to take a question?
Do not entertain silly questions.
Please proceed.
South African businesses are already struggling due to unreliable power supply and unreliable water supply, a failing infrastructure, a punishing tax regime and policy uncertainty, which is driving investors away. And this fund will only worsen it. The National Empowerment Fund, which is expected to administer this fund, has faced ongoing scrutiny for governance inefficiencies and financial mismanagement. Without strong oversight mechanisms in place, 100 billion in public and private sector contributions could easily become a bottomless pit, failing to deliver meaningful economic transformation while again enriching a select few. We advocate for transparent governance that ensures all public funds are managed through National Treasury and not the questionable NEF. The DA has exposed the full extent of this disaster. My colleague Toby Chance has done hard work in Parliament to reveal the fund's lack of consultation, financial irregularities and unconstitutional design. Agbare President, daar is klinkbare bewyse dat ekonomiese beleide wat rasgebaseerde kriteria nastreef, daar gestel is om net die elite bevoordeel en moet onmiddellik geskraap word en vervang word met meriete gebaseerde behoeftegedrewe bemagtiging. Finish en klaar. Across every sector, from small business owners to major corporations and foreign investors, there is widespread rejection to this plan. En die publiek, agbare president, hulle sien reg deur julle. Na jare van korrupsie, van staatskaping tot plundering van die COVID-hulp, weet Suid-Afrikaners presies wat gebeur as die ANC hulle hande op die 100 miljard gaan kry. Dit gaan nie na transformasie lei nie. Dit gaan in die sakke van die gekoppeldes verbind is. Ons sal dit nie toelaat dat transformasie as 'n verskoning vir plundering gebruik word nie. Honourable members, there is an alternative to this slush fund. The Democratic Alliance's Economic Justice Policy. Go and read it. This offers a transformation model that is transparent, accountable and driven by economic growth. This policy speaks to enterprise-driven transformation, empowering small and medium businesses through incentives and investment-friendly policies, skills development, and not forced racial quotas. The reason for a GNU is to find the best policies from each member party and implement them well. In conclusion, Honourable President, if you believe in fairness, accountability, and economic growth, I say this: reconsider this brewing mistake. Fight for real transformation and economic growth for all South Africans, not only the politically connected few. Scupper this impending disaster of a fund and listen to South Africans. Jobs and growth are what they need, not repackaged policy failures. We are committed to ensuring that this policy does not proceed in its current form. I thank you.
Honourable the Minister of Human Settlements.
Thank you very much, Honourable Madam Deputy Speaker, Honourable President, Honourable Deputy President, Honourable members, good afternoon. Thank you very much for the opportunity, Deputy Speaker, to partake in this important debate following a historic and a groundbreaking State of the Nation address. Honourable President, today's debate coincides with the 35 years release of Madiba from prison. President, you provided, like a statesman, a true statesman, a formalistic, succinct speech befitting of who you are. It's a pity that some had very little of it. We accept even that the ANC gains of governance are now personalized today. In some of the years, they belong to one person alone. Honourable Boshoff, transformation cannot only be determined by you. We will determine it jointly, and the transformation fund will go on. If there's nothing that you hate and hate more, is transformation, and you don't want to see it. Honourable Trump, wherever he sits, has invited you to come and be with him. Nihlele Go, that's the country that does not need transformation. We need transformation. Honorable Choli, delusional is you. The president is not delusional. You remain out of the XLSA, out of the GNU because your friends put you into a minshot, bagushiyulele upemile. Honorable Groenewald, I was born in Petal, the only farming town. The only thing we do in Petal until today is farming. It went to an extent of killing people and putting them underground. The reason why farmers survived before CASP and are still surviving today, it is because of the funds that they were getting annual. Black people and black farmers are successful. Maybe what you should be suggesting is we need to give them more money annually for all those institutional programs to succeed. They are not failures. Honorable Malima, you read part of what President Cyril Ramaphosa said. Let me remind you one thing he said, for example, in the 2024 SONA. He said he will introduce the finance-linked individual subsidy program, which was knownly FLIPS at the time. Today we call it First Home Finances. And as we speak, families between 3,500 and 22,000, 5,082 of them are first-time homeowners assisted by the government of Cyril Ramaphosa after they've been neglected by commercial banks. In the year 2024-25, Honorable President, we are intending to upgrade that program and touch the lives of black people to 140,000. We are partnering with all the Phison Connects Corporation. We are now taking this area to rural areas, this program rather. And we would like to thank the National House of Traditional Leaders, eThekwini and Nanda, and the local municipalities, Umlamuli, are already giving us traditional land where we'll finance our black people in rural areas to be first-time homeowners. You spoke about a distribution of land here. We are participating in student accommodation here in the city of Cape Town. Our kids were doing yesterday. But we have already approved 2 settlements of ensuring that student accommodation happens, one in Pela and one in Palo. About 927. Now let me remind you, Democratic Alliance. You only build when there's a constitutional court outcome. I will give you the statistics of how correctly and goodly are you failing to provide human services. Bendilindel.
Honourable member at the podium, please take your seat.
Deputy
Honourable
Speaker,
member.
this person is speaking like she's in a coffee shop. We're not in a coffee shop here. Please.
Honourable
Whatever
member.
she drank, she can't bring it here.
Honourable
I can
member.
smell it from here. Please.
Honourable member.
We're not in a
please
shopping
withdraw
here.
that.
Please, man.
Honourable member at the podium, please proceed.
Honorable Pambo, try better. Usemfana omncane kakhulu. Practice politics uzawuza next year. They will give you the stage next year. Not now. Awuna podium uyingane encane. So listen to me as I deal with how the Democratic Alliance is failing to demarcate land. The Bronwell Court outcome at the Constitutional Court just 2 weeks ago show who you are. Forced evictions, taking people out of the community settlements in town, throwing them to 30 kilometers away. Is that the first court outcome? No. The commando outcome, housing, also constitutional court. Hambani iganise a transformation fund to the constitutional court, stall, because constitution can only be determined by you. As I'm about to conclude, I would like to ground off how you do not spend. In 2023 and 2024, Western Cape is Nambamsila. We took back 250 million, which you couldn't spend, and you should have built houses at Danone ukuthi kungachi mikuku every December. In our housing development grant, as we speak, you are at 41%, you are likely to lose over 300 million. Go and house people correctly. In the informal settlement grant, you are at 20%. Again, you are going to send money back. Where are the provinces? Limpopo, 64%, KZN, 86%. A national refund where you took back 222 million still screams at you. There's no time to waste. South African wants us to fundamentally change, and we will never be dictated by those who think change can only be determined by them. Yes, I had a coffee shop because Ramaphosa had no finance scheme then. So apply langoku depend.
I now invite the Honourable Zibi. Order, members.